Today, I am going to tell you a true story. A story so shocking that many people find it hard to believe after hearing it. It leaves people surprised, disturbed, and deeply worried that such things could happen in the real world. This is a story where wealth, power, and exploitation were deeply connected. A story that challenges what many people believe about justice and influence. For an ordinary person, it may sound impossible, like something from a dark movie or hidden history. But this is not fiction. This is a bitter reality that the world has had to face.
Imagine a land where beneath endless deserts and dry mountains lies the kind of wealth that could power the future of the world. A country where gold flows from the earth, where rare minerals used in electric cars and advanced technology may exist under untouched ground, and where global powers quietly watch every move. This is Sudan, a nation often shown in the news for war, crisis, and political instability, but rarely discussed for something far bigger: its natural resources. Sudan is known to have vast reserves of gold, oil, and other valuable minerals, making these sectors some of the most important parts of its economy and exports. In recent years, gold alone has become one of Sudan's biggest economic drivers. While oil and agriculture also play major roles in global trade linked to the country, but Sudan's story is not just about wealth. It is about power. It is about who controls the ground beneath people's feet. Because in Sudan, control over minerals often means control over money, weapons, and political influence. Gold, in particular, has become one of the most important sources of income for armed groups fighting in the civil war, linking the conflict directly to resource control. In fact, Sudan is part of a wider region known to contain gold, uranium, cobalt, copper, rare earth minerals, and other strategic resources used in modern technology and global industry. And when a country holds resources that power global economies, the world starts paying attention, sometimes quietly, sometimes aggressively. To understand why Sudan matters today, we first need to understand where it is and why geography alone makes it important. Sudan sits in Northeast Africa, connecting sub-Saharan Africa to the Middle East and close to the Red Sea, one of the most important shipping routes on Earth. This location gives Sudan strategic importance not only for trade, but also for military and political influence. Control of ports and access to the Red Sea has become a major geopolitical goal for several regional and global powers. Over time, Sudan's political history has made it vulnerable to outside influence. After decades of internal conflict, economic struggles increased when South Sudan separated in 2011, taking much of the oil production with it. Since then, minerals like gold have become even more important to Sudan's survival and economy. Today, gold has largely replaced oil as the country's most critical export, with both government forces and rival groups competing to control mining areas. The current civil war, which began in 2023, is not only about political power, it is also deeply connected to economic control, especially over gold revenues and trade routes. This is one of the harsh realities of resource-rich but unstable countries. Instead of bringing development and prosperity, resources sometimes fuel conflict. In Sudan, reports suggest that large portions of gold are smuggled out of the country, feeding international markets while reducing benefits for the local population and sometimes funding armed groups. At the same time, global demand for minerals is changing the world. The shift toward electric vehicles, renewable energy, and advanced electronics means minerals like cobalt, lithium, and rare earth elements are more valuable than ever. Countries that control these materials could shape the future of technology and energy. Sudan's untapped mineral potential puts it in a position where it could become extremely important to global supply chains in the future. That is why foreign governments, investors, and companies are closely watching Sudan negotiating mining deals or building political influence in the region. Some countries are interested in Sudan for gold trade, some for agriculture and food security, and others for strategic military and shipping access. For example, gold exports from Sudan have been heavily linked to international buyers, showing how deeply the country is connected to global financial and commodity systems. But here's the biggest question that makes Sudan's story powerful and complicated at the same time. Can natural wealth bring stability and prosperity to a country? Or can it bring competition, foreign interference, and conflict? History shows both possibilities. Sudan today stands at a crossroads between becoming a major resource powerhouse or becoming another example of what experts call the resource curse, where countries rich in natural wealth struggle with corruption, instability, and outside pressure. Around the world, nations are racing to secure minerals for future technologies, clean energy systems, and global manufacturing. And in that race, countries like Sudan suddenly become extremely important. The story of Sudan is not just about Africa, not just about war, and not just about minerals. It is about the future of global power, energy, and economics, and who will control the resources that shape tomorrow's world. Imagine a place where the land itself holds the power to change the future of the world. A place where beneath silent deserts and forgotten mountains lie minerals worth billions of dollars. Minerals that fuel modern technology, power electric vehicles, store energy, and shape global economies. This place is Sudan, a country often seen through the lens of war, hunger, and political chaos, but rarely through the truth hidden beneath its soil. Sudan is not just a country in crisis. It is a country of immense underground wealth. Gold, copper, uranium, cobalt, and possibly rare earth minerals lie beneath its surface, quietly attracting the attention of powerful nations. And where wealth exists, competition is never far behind. For years, Sudan has appeared in headlines because of violence and instability. But what if the conflict we see on the surface is only part of the story? What if the real battle is not only for political control, but for control of the earth itself? In today's world, minerals are more valuable than ever before. They are the backbone of clean energy, advanced weapons, artificial intelligence, and global finance. Whoever controls these resources holds influence far beyond borders. Sudan sits at a dangerous intersection, rich in resources but weak in stability. This combination has made it a target of foreign interests, illegal trade networks, and internal power struggles. Gold mines have become battlegrounds. Trade routes have turned into lifelines for armed groups. And ordinary people are caught in between, living on some of the richest land on earth, while facing poverty and insecurity. This is not just Sudan's story. It is a global story. A story about power, resources, and the future. To understand why Sudan matters so much today, we must first understand what lies beneath its soil and why the world is watching so closely. Sudan is located in northeast Africa, connecting the African continent to the Middle East. It borders several countries and sits close to the Red Sea, one of the most important shipping routes in the world. This location alone gives Sudan strategic value. Goods, oil, food, and military supplies move through this region every day. Any country with access to this corridor becomes important on the global stage. Historically, Sudan has faced decades of political instability. Colonial rule, military governments, economic sanctions, and internal divisions have all shaped its modern identity. In 2011, South Sudan gained independence, taking with it much of the oil production that once supported Sudan's economy. This moment changed everything. Sudan had to search for new sources of income, and once again, attention turned to the ground beneath its feet, especially gold. Since then, mining has grown rapidly, often without regulation or oversight. Artisanal miners, private companies, and armed groups all compete for access to mineral-rich areas. Instead of creating national prosperity, these resources often deepen divisions. Control of land becomes control of wealth, and control of wealth becomes control of power. At the same time, the world around Sudan is changing. Global demand for minerals is increasing as countries move toward renewable energy, electric transportation, and digital technology. Minerals that were once overlooked are now essential. Sudan, with its vast unexplored territory, suddenly appears on the radar of global powers. Understanding Sudan requires looking beyond headlines. It requires seeing the connection between geography, history, and resources. Sudan is not poor because it lacks wealth. It is poor because that wealth has been fought over, exploited, and mismanaged. And this reality sets the stage for everything that follows. Sudan is one of Africa's most mineral-rich countries, yet much of its potential remains unexplored. Gold is the most visible resource, but it is only one part of a much larger picture. Geological surveys suggest the presence of copper, iron or zinc, uranium, cobalt, and possibly lithium and rare earth elements. These minerals are not just valuable, they are strategic. Cobalt and lithium are essential for batteries used in electric vehicles and renewable energy storage. Rare earth elements are critical for smartphones, military equipment, satellites, and advanced electronics. Uranium plays a role in nuclear energy and defense. A world racing toward technological dominance and clean energy, these minerals are becoming more important than oil. Sudan's vast landmass means much of its mineral wealth is still untapped. However, lack of infrastructure, political instability, and conflict make large-scale, transparent mining difficult. Instead, mining often takes place in unsafe conditions, with little benefit to the national economy. Illegal extraction and smuggling are common, allowing resources to leave the country without contributing to development. What makes Sudan unique is not just what it has, but what it could become. With stability, proper governance, and fair investment, Sudan could be a major supplier of future critical minerals. Without these conditions, its resources remain a source of competition and conflict. The earth beneath Sudan holds enormous promise. Promise alone does not create prosperity. How these resources are managed or mismanaged will determine whether they become a blessing or a curse. Gold is the most important mineral in Sudan today. It is easy to extract, easy to transport, and easy to sell. For a country struggling economically, gold has become a lifeline. Sudan is now one of Africa's largest gold producers, with thousands of miners working across deserts and remote. But gold has also become a weapon. Control of gold mines means access to money, and money fuels conflict. Armed groups, militias, and power brokers fight over mining areas because gold provides fast cash. Much of Sudan's gold is smuggled out of the country through informal networks, often ending up in international markets. This illegal trade weakens the state and strengthens non-state actors. Instead of funding schools, hospitals, and infrastructure, gold revenue often finances weapons and war. Ordinary miners face dangerous working conditions, exploitation, and environmental damage, while profits move far away from local communities. Gold represents the paradox of Sudan. It is a symbol of wealth and survival, but also a driver of instability. As long as gold remains outside effective state control, it will continue to shape Sudan's conflict. The world's interest in Sudan is not accidental. It is driven by three main factors: resources, location, and influence. Countries seeking secure supplies of gold and future minerals see Sudan as a strategic opportunity. As global competition increases, nations want to reduce dependence on limited suppliers. Sudan's proximity to the Red Sea adds another layer of importance. Control or influence in this region means access to one of the world's busiest trade routes. Military presence, ports, and logistics hubs become tools of power. Food security also plays a role. Sudan has vast agricultural potential, making it attractive to countries facing water shortages and growing populations. Minerals, food, and geography together make Sudan highly valuable. However, this interest often benefits external players more than Sudan itself. Deals made during instability tend to favor foreign interests, deepening inequality and resentment. Sudan's conflict cannot be understood without understanding resources. When institutions are weak, resources become prizes to be captured. Armed groups use minerals to fund operations while civilians suffer displacement and violence. This pattern is known as the resource curse. Countries rich in natural wealth often experience corruption, conflict, and foreign interference. Sudan is a clear example. Instead of uniting the nation, resources divide it. So breaking this cycle requires strong governance, transparency, and peace. Without them, minerals will continue to fuel instability rather than development. Sudan is part of a larger global competition. Major powers seek influence over supply chains, trade routes, and strategic regions. Africa has become central to this competition, and Sudan sits at its crossroads. Foreign investments, military ties, and political alliances are not random. They reflect long-term strategies. Sudan's future will be shaped not only by its people, but by how it navigates these external pressures. Sudan stands at a historic moment. Its land holds the materials needed for the future world. But resources alone do not guarantee success. Peace, unity, and responsible leadership will determine the outcome. Sudan could become a symbol of transformation, a country that turns natural wealth into national strength, or it could remain trapped in conflict, where riches fuel suffering. The story of Sudan is not finished. The choices made today will shape not only Sudan's future, but the future of global resources, power, and justice. As we reach the end of this journey, one thing becomes clear: Sudan is far more than the headlines we usually see. It is not only a country defined by conflict, crisis, or political struggle. It is a country standing on land that holds some of the resources shaping the future of the modern world. Beneath its deserts and mountains lie minerals that power smartphones, electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, and advanced technologies. In many ways, Sudan represents the story of the 21st century, a story where natural resources, global power, technology, and human survival are all deeply connected. But Sudan also raises a difficult and uncomfortable question for the world. When a country is rich in natural resources, who truly benefits from that wealth? Is it the people living on that land, or the powerful groups and nations competing to control it? History has shown us that resources can build nations, but they can also destroy them. They can create schools, hospitals, and industries, or they can fuel corruption, conflict, and instability. Sudan today stands exactly at this crossroads. For the people of Sudan, the future is not just about minerals. It is about peace, stability, and the right to control their own resources. It is about turning natural wealth into real development, better education, better healthcare, and better opportunities for future generations. And for the world, Sudan is a reminder that the global race for resources has real human consequences. Every shipment of gold, every mineral deal, every political alliance affects real lives on the ground. The story of Sudan is still being written. It is a story of struggle, but also of possibility. Stability, transparency, and fair partnerships can be built. Sudan could become one of the most important resource economies in Africa and the world. But if conflict and exploitation continue, its wealth may remain a source of suffering rather than prosperity. In the end, Sudan is not just fighting over land or power, it is fighting over its future. And the world is watching not only because of what Sudan is today, but because of what it could become tomorrow.
Friends, this video was prepared for education and truly correcting information and knowledge. If you like this video, please follow and subscribe for our favorite comments.